End of 2025, this is the collection as it stands. I'm going figure by figure, why I like each one, and the story behind how it ended up on my shelf. Stay tuned. Before we get started, make sure you hit like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. It helps other people like yourselves find my content. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. In no particular order, let's just start from left to right. Here we got Ant-Man and Black Panther, both two movies that I've worked on. I normally have the Blu-rays on the background, but I felt like it was getting a little crowded, especially now that I've implemented the figure stands here. So yeah, remove those Blu-rays, but I know which ones I've worked on, and no one's really coming to check out my collection anyway. But yeah, here's Ant-Man. Actually, the more that I have him in the display case, and I kind of look him at it from a distance, the more he looks like Paul Rudd. I actually don't really mind that head sculpt at all. Haven't used his actual helmet as of yet, but he's going to be probably next up on my figure reposing videos. Along with Black Panther, this head sculpt is amazing. I think it's one of the most underrated figures, to be honest. That head sculpt's just crazy realistic. And her eyes, like the skin texture, the hair, everything, even the proportions. She's quite a small actress, I assume. Oh. But yeah, no, she's a great figure. She's also very posable, also on the list of reposing videos. Great movie to work on. I mostly animated Namor and Ironheart, but they didn't make either of those figures, so I settled with a Black Panther. And then we got She-Hulk. She was the latest reposing video, but that pose, I don't know, it kind of just showed the flaws of the figure in terms of its posability and its articulation, and the silicone arms just don't really work too well, so I have her kind of just doing that, you know, catching her fist. But even still, one of my gripes with Hot Toys in general is the hand poses that they give you. They're all kind of weird and don't really work well together, especially with a figure that has no accessories. Kind of just like, I hope that they in the future just rethink of what kind of poses that character would do, and then make hands based on that, make them all kind of custom hands, which they should be for her, because no other character is 6'9" and green. So overall, great figure. Worked on that show. It was good. Make sure you check out that reposing video. Yeah, it's up there. That's mostly my favorite figure, or even close to, is probably bottom, to be honest, but still pretty good. And then, of course, we've got Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett. And yeah, it's up there with probably my favorite armor. I really like the one from Mandalorian and how clean that repaint was. But this one's really grown on me. The helmet I don't like as much as the one from Mandalorian, but overall, it's probably my favorite Boba Fett figure. We'll see if he ends up in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and if he's getting new armor, which he probably will, because Hot Toys loves new armor, and so does Star Wars. Star Wars loves selling figures. And yeah, I use the base too. I think the base actually looks pretty good. I know it's got almost like predetermined foot placement that you got to use, but it worked out for his pose, so I'm pretty happy with that. And then we move on to Batman. It's the Hot Toys one, not the InArt one, even though he's next to InArt Aragorn. This Hot Toys figure, I wish I got the InArt one, but at the time, you know, the Hot Toys one was actually released. So I got him, and I'm sure I'll get another Batman once the Batman 2 comes out. But that's, what, in 2027? So figure won't be in hand till 2029, which blows my mind. But for now, it works. Got a little pose on the cape going. It's a very boring pose. I'm going to have to repose him as well. And on to Aragorn. He was an impulse buy. Let me just focus on his head there. But he looks great. I like it way better than the rooted version. I think the rooted version kind of looks weird, especially if you don't know how to style the hair, and I'm not a hairstylist, so I think this one looks better. It's exactly how, you know, the artist wanted it to look. Actually, so now that I put him on the stand, his like head is somewhere closer to the light, and actually makes the head sculpt look a little better. Just like lighting makes such a huge difference. Yeah, I think he looks fantastic. The hair's not very good, and you can kind of see the difference in the sculpted hair on this figure versus Paul Atreides up above. I feel like they didn't really figure it out how to do it yet. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a bit of a gap between the bangs and the rest of the hair, and you can kind of see the glue sort of separating almost. Yeah, it kind of just looks like mushy spaghetti, but I still prefer it over the rooted for sure. Also, now with the stands, I didn't realize the stand has like little foliage on it, which is freaking cool. Kind of reminds me of like a Warhammer 40K figure stand. And you like add that like fake moss and fake grass. Kind of reminds me of that. So I really like that. I'm kind of I had no idea I didn't use the stands earlier. It's such a cool looking stand. And I love how InArt does it. It's kind of just very minimal, but very specific to the character, which I think is super cool. Unlike, you know, the laziness of this, which has been used in like 100 different figures. And like the sand doesn't look that good, but this looks much better to me. I really think InArt's really knocking it out of the park. And speaking of InArt, we'll go to InArt Paul Atreides. He's due for a repose, but I still really like this pose. I actually had an issue with him. This hair sculpt was covered in chips and like paint chips. So then they actually resent me a new one, which is super appreciated. Thank you, InArt. But yeah, he's such a great looking figure, honestly. I hope they make some more Dune figures. And that stand, again, is amazing. The head sculpt's super cool. The tailoring, everything about this figure is awesome. I just really hope they make some more Dune figures. Because all like the other figures InArt makes is like Walking Dead and all those stuff. Like I don't collect that. So, and I honestly, you know, they're not obviously just thinking of me, but I'd love to see some other licenses get made, which I'll discuss in another video. But in the meantime, InArt Paul Atreides, top 3 figure of mine for sure. And then we got the Poor Toys Blade Runner Agent K. It's, when I first got it, I was a little disappointed, to be honest. And to be fair, a lot of people are saying that the scaling's a bit off, but I don't think it is. I think he's actually in the right scale and Paul Atreides is in the wrong scale, because I think Timothée Chalamet is like 5'9", 5'10", and Gosling's 6'1". So I think actually the scaling on Paul Atreides is wrong. Like he's way too tall. But he's taller than Aragorn. He's probably one of the tallest figures that I have. Maybe Paul Atreides in the book is super tall, but if they're trying to make it accurate to the actual actor, he's too tall. But yeah, I really like this figure. I think the more I have it, the more I like it. At first, I was a little disappointed in the head sculpt because I got one of the studio paint versions, but the head sculpt was super glossy out of the box. But actually with time and kind of just like rubbing my finger against the head sculpt, the glossiness has kind of gone away, and now the paint's really shining through. But yeah, Poor Toys, I have a review of this figure on the channel. Make sure you check that out. But the stand's incredible. The magnets on it are insane. Like if you got, like, he's not going anywhere. He's stuck on there forever. I love what they do with the hands. You'll see that in my review as well. But the hands are amazing, and just how easy it is to take on and off. Like that's all it is. And also, I don't know if you can see the detail. Let's see if there you go. The hands are just like, the detail on these hands are just insane. Look at that palm, like the wrinkling in the palm is crazy. And then yeah, just super easy. Putting the hand back on there. It's so good. Like if every figure company can just learn from that and do that, that'd be amazing. That'd be nice. And then we got Han Solo. Honestly, I wasn't digging the figure that much until I reposed him doing this. This is what, like one of the reasons that I wanted to do the stand was for this pose specifically. It just, you know, I think that this pose exudes coolness. It's very much Han Solo, just, you know, being casual, being chill. And this one's just a good example of a figure that used custom made hands specifically for this character, like the hand on the belt. That's amazing. Thank God they have that, because he's always kind of has hands on his hips, being all swagger-like. Then hand just kind of rests in there, but they did the custom hands on this figure, and I really like this pose a lot. It's not uber stable, so if you like touch the display case, you might fall over. Let's get a little zoom in on him. Yeah, he's looking pretty awesome. But yeah, this figure, before I gave it maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. The jacket's a little stiff. It's not as good as this jacket. As you can see, there's like natural kind of wrinkling where it should, like around the elbow, and then here, not so much. Real stiff. I'm wondering if I could probably steam it or something to kind of loosen it up a bit. But yeah, he's up there in my books now, especially now with the Bosch Leia coming out. I'm pretty happy I didn't sell this one for the Empire Strikes Back one. I'll probably get an Empire Strikes Back one if they do make a Hoth version. But in the meantime, this will be my one and only Solo. He's Solo. And then we got Indiana Jones, which I think is also an underrated figure for an underrated movie. I really like Dial of Destiny. Is it the perfect Indiana Jones movie? Of course not. But arguably the third best, maybe better than Temple of Doom. First best, obviously, Raiders, Last Crusade. Then maybe this movie. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I like seeing Indiana Jones in the eye of James Mangold versus Steven Spielberg. I thought it kind of gave a fresh take on the character. And I gotta give a really happy ending. Yeah, and then Temple Doom and then Crystal Skull would be my order. But this figure, I feel like, was one of those figures that Hot Toys really stepped up on with the weathering and the tailoring, with the actual leather boots or shoes with the real laces, and the pants had some actual weathering finally. Real leather jacket, and that head sculpt is one of the best of the year for sure. Leather whip too. They really knocked it out of the park with this figure. So you got to get the old Han and new Han. Old Han and young Han, there you go, in the same little square here. And then my final two figures, we got the Joker. He was the first one I did for my reposing video, which apparently people liked. People really liked that video, so make sure you check that one out as well. And I put him on his figure display base. He looks awesome. I wish there's a little like name tag of Joker somewhere, but there isn't. But I mean, whatever, it's fine. Like that, the actual base itself is super cool. And this figure is one of the best figures Hot Toys have made. I definitely think InArt really pushed Hot Toys to up their game with their Joker, and then they did. And I think this one blows the InArt Joker out of the water. But then J&D's coming out with their Jokers, and those look incredible, except they're wildly expensive. And we got DX19. This is actually that Han Solo figure and this Batman figure were the two on why I started using bases again. Have him kind of walking down the steps. I'm surprised he hasn't fallen over yet. He still might, maybe in this video. But I think this is a cool looking pose. Is him going down the steps, ready to fight Bane. I just wish I had the Bane figure to go with him. Unfortunately, I do not. But yeah, these two together look awesome, even though one's from Dark Knight Rises and one's from the Dark Knight. Still look really good together. And yeah, that is the overall collection so far. As you can see, I have plenty of space up above for more figures. But I kind of like having 2 per box currently, because right now, that top shelf right there is like way too high. So it's just the neglected figures, and they just get covered in dust. Because I have to stand up on a chair just to reach up there. So I don't really want to put figures up there. And this one's just like a little too high, and then it kind of just looked out of balance. But just having all those figures down there, they look pretty good. Pretty excited for those. And yeah, that is the display case for now, end of 2025. In the future, we'll probably be changing the display case, because as much as I like how this looks, I think it looks super clean. Dust is a pain in the butt. And I think, after years of collecting, since 2011, I believe I've been collecting figures, buying and selling constantly. I used to have much more figures than this. I think I'm gonna go back to Billy bookcases. I've had all of them. I've had the new version of the Detolf. What's it called? The Blaladin. The Blaladin. I've had that. I've had Detolfs. I've had Billy's. I've had Bestas. I've had this. This is also IKEA. I've had custom shelves as well. I think Billy's the best bang for your buck and just looks the cleanest. It's got a good, nice height to the shelves. And unfortunately, this one, it doesn't have a good height. As you can see, She-Hulk's head is actually touching the top. And then also the light doesn't get to hit her eyes too well. And even with Indiana Jones. So next year, who knows, maybe I'm going to be jumping on the Billy bandwagon. But stay tuned for that. I'm sure I'll have a video about different display cases and updates on my collection. I do have a few figures coming in, hopefully in January, February, which I'll have reviews for. But stay tuned and see where my collection goes, where I review figures, do posing videos, talking about previews of all the figures, looking at the photos and press photos and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.